shaking. Anywhere we belle face, we go always run am. Forget the bad woes. Last, we go day all right. My people are mad with faith. They chuckle through their grief. Rise every sunrise with virgin belief. They say the day we begin to lose hope is the day we begin to die. My people are fully alive. Each pulse a prayer, each breath a prophecy. My people, I can't see your reckless hope and surrender to any danger. No danger can terrify me the way your faith terrifies me. And this incantation clings to my tongue and never lets go, no matter the pain. You have taught me to say, last, day, all right. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Barry Olodo. Okay, quickly, happy birthday, Arojah Theatre. It's an opportunity for me to be here. And I want to recognize the presence of my big brother on my way. Yeah. I'm going to inspired. Someone once told me that um, living in this country is like trying to survive a relationship. So I picture trying to survive in Nigeria as the citizens being the wife and being the husband. And we have this terribly abusive husband that we have to try and survive every day. And just like he said, most of us are just finding a way to escape. I hope that somehow we find a solution to this. So this poem is dedicated to Nigeria and it's titled Palilalia. I didn't write my first poem until I met Nadia, a beautiful masterpiece, littered with a perfect repetition of I love you, I love you, I love you. The doctor says that I'm suffering from palilalia, reverse speech disorder, where one makes a repetition of what's in braces, what's in braces, what's in braces. Nadia was a beauty when I met her. Eyes like the half of a yellow sun, body elegantly formed like granite pyramids. Her smiles, were ocean waves unfolding upon the shores of my heart. And the sight of her fueled my ego. When I was broke, another girl was like, no money, no honey, no money, no honey, no money, no honey. She showed interest in me like a bank loan. When we kissed, our lips the Tower of Babel, reaching out to the heavens. We spoke in several tongues. We were in love until the fight began. I threw punches into her face like Muhammad Ali. I couldn't think out of the box. They say what you sow is what you reap. I guess that's right. Because each time I sewed together the fabrics of our emotions, I always found the way to rip them apart. I loved empty promises down our belly. I left potholes and bombs. I mean, goosebumps on the roads that led to our hearts. And our garden of love grew into a forest. And as cheetah, I became part of the jungle justice I lied to her. And several times I said to her, what is proper for the goose is propaganda. I mean, proper for the gander. As a man, my job was to gather, to be a police, to be a soldier, but I kept destroying her flowers like a bad gardener. Hey, Holiday, I'm talking to you, you're talking back? No! Her body bears ugly stories written in scars. At night, I tried to write her another poem, and in the midst of those I love yous, I remind myself I promised to sweep her off her feet. All I've always wanted to be was her groom. Not loving her is anarchy, plunging my heart into chaos. She's a country. I am every state you can think of. God has become a hammer when I try to profess my love for her. These days, my voice breaks. I forgot to by me when my speech couldn't relate with commerce. I was in a vegetative state, yet she broke her body for me.
Only 6:32. daily MTTR 632. So there is
How people get too rich to pay attention. A girl can create on her way back from school. A boy overlooked by the rich dad. It's so difficult to love a broken country when you know that there are days you wake up searching for pieces of art. It's even more complicated when you're responsible for the breaking. Nadia, it's been 60 years now, and our relationship seems to have taken after my speech pattern. I keep repeating the same thing, the same thing, the same thing. I keep making the same mistake, same mistake, same mistake. Forgetting that someday your hands will be too weak to take me as I am. Thank you.
All right, thank you everyone, and welcome to this very wonderful session. My name is Jerry Adeshiu, and I have the pleasure of welcoming everyone here for this very brief, but I must say important, poetry session. In the last couple of days, poetry has been in the air. I mean, it has always been anyway, but the 21st of March, has been set aside for poetry around the world to celebrate poetry, to celebrate poets, and to celebrate the power of poetry as a tool, for communication. And I am sure that, given what we have been part of in the last couple of years in Nigeria, Nigeria has not, just like we will say around here, we have not carried last at all. We have measured up as much as possible to the fact that, we can hold up our own whenever it comes to poetry. For today, particularly, it's an opportunity for us to interact with some of our, what we call KNPF laureates. In the last couple of years, for 9 years, I must say, we had the pleasure of running what was one of the most important poetry competition in Nigeria, funded by the Korean Cultural Center in Nigeria. And for 9 years, we were doing that, and that has produced a lot of winners. Even some established poets had participated in this. Some established poets had won prizes. In this Korea Nigeria Poetry Feast. Even though, as much as possible, for those who have closely monitored, you will see that our target has primarily been for the emerging poet, much more than the established poets. But that is not to say we are going to saw, or we have sidelined the established poets. In those 9 years, we have had the pleasure of someone I respect so very much, but whom unfortunately death has snatched from us in the person of Ike Ogbuoke, who won, you know, who won the KNPF prize, and then also won the NLNG prize. But unfortunately, he was cut down just when he should start, enjoying the labor of his poetry. So that I wouldn't be saying so much, let us start on on a poetic note and talking about Ike Okeugu, who won, I think that should be the 27th. He was third position in the 2017 edition of this competition, and he wrote a poem titled A Savage Writes Back," which he said is to Chinua Achebe on reading his comments on V.S. Naipaul's contempt for the African in home and exile. I will read that for us to kickstart this session, and then I'll quickly introduce our featured poets, and we take it up from here. This is what the Keogu says: "Evil is never ameliorated by being tolerated. It only grows worse, like the cancer of the imperial cause that invades the mind of its victim and decimates to naught his self-esteem. But need we worry about V.S. Naipaul or lose sleep to an ever-founding doll? A slave glorified remains a slave. a grave digger in Her Majesty's service, making words is paid. Hurling insult over his own head, does it improve a slave that the chains have left his wrist for his brains, the manacles his ankles for his heart, that his soul has derailed into a mole, mumbling all its days in the sun's rays, unable to see evil for what it is, that a world unjust is twice amiss. I mean, and I think that that very last line is what caught my attention the more, because he said, unable to see evil for what it is, and that the world unjust is twice amiss. That goes to buttress the point that poetry is very powerful. But I am not going to be the one to say so or to establish so. So I have the pleasure of introducing to you five gentlemen and women who are with us here today, poets and poetess, because I understand there is the feminine of it now. Uh, we have with us here Innocent Shamarang Silas. We have here with us Eizoji Iyoman. I hope I pronounced that name well. You are going to have to do that yourself in a short while. We have Miriam Tauban. We have Madu Chisom. If he's back, he was here earlier, but I think he was thrown out. We have Madu Chisom, and of course, we have Iyanu Adebi. So I welcome you all, and I like to also very quickly recognize those I can see and I know. We have with us Dr. Daniel Ayo. Dr. Daniel Ayo is an artist and an art promoter of many years standing. If you have ever heard about Just Do, Don't Look Too Far, he is the masquerade behind the 23 years old Just Doodles. You're welcome, Dr. Ayo, sir. We are very glad to
Thank you.
just say hello, sir.
Yeah. It's a pleasure being here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yes. I also have with me my HOD, if he's still in the house. Yes, he's very much here. Dr. Ola Ifatimei, Head of Performing Art from the BUK, that is Bayero University, Kano. Dr. Ola, I greet you, sir.
Greetings to you, sir.
All right.
Hi, everyone.
Yes. Okay, this is how we start. We have here four for now, because Madu is not back. Madu is not back here, maybe due to network. He was here earlier. This is the way it goes. We have five poets in the house who at one point or the other have won the Korea Nigeria Poetry Prize. In fact, the most recent, which was in 2019, before COVID stops us from having the 2010 edition, the 2020 edition, is Innocent Sharamang Silas, who has won this prize twice. He has won this prize twice. He won, I think, in 2016. And then in 2019, we decided to have that edition, the 9th edition, for previous winners only. Previous winners, whether consolation prize, the top 10 in the last 8 years, we decided to put them together and say, look, only previous winners can contest for the 2019 edition. And as a result of that, Silas Innocence emerged winner for the second time. So he became the winner of winners. So I like to unleash Silas. Share with us any poem of your choice. Maybe the one that won you the poetry prize, if you have it here, or any other one. And we'll start from here. Silas, you have the floor.
Hello, everyone.
A bit of introduction won't be a bad idea. Just a very brief one. Yeah.
All right. I think you've made the introduction already. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes.
All right, because I am at a hotel where there is too much noise. I'm sorry about that.
It's okay.
My name is Innocent Silas Sharamank. Like you said, I write poetry, and basically, I also do freelance jobs. My first winning of this prize was 2017, actually, not 2016. And also in 2019, that's like
This, I'm trying to mute. Okay, please, you can go ahead now.
all right. I'm apologizing again. There is too much noise here. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. All right. So, like I said, the first prize was 2017, not actually 2016, and 2019. Poetry has helped me a lot, especially since winning this prize. I used to tell people that to me, poetry is like a bridge. It's a path to me to become a better person and to find a way whereby I could be able to change. Now, creating a better place isn't about tearing ourselves apart, you understand? It's about creating a route for coming together. So I tend to deal with absence, presence, grief, pain, joy, happiness, things that when we understand them perfectly, we can be able to have a better understanding of our world in general. I would love to read the poem that won the prize for me in 2019. I think as at that time, we're commemorating the Korean independence, like 100 years anniversary, if I remember clearly. So I took the title Blessing. And sometimes when you tell new poets that you can also, as a poet, do research before writing, it looks like it's novel to them, you understand? But I always try to do that. I try to see how my poetry can relate not just to reality, but also a history that has taken place that has brought us to where we are today. So while writing this, I titled it as Blessings. And let me read it, please. Let me read it. Uh, let me see if I can share my. All right, I'm sharing my screen with you. Yeah. This is Can you hear me over there? Can you hear me? Hello, Omaba, can you hear me?
You are being heard. Just continue.
All right, thank you.
Go ahead. You have been heard.
Yes.
All right. So the title of this poem is Blessings. It's my blessings on the Korean people, and it's Korean Nigeria, Korean people. It begins with this quote from the Korean Declaration of Independence from March 1st, 1919. It says, "Here we herewith proclaim the independence of Korea and the liberty of the Korean people." So the first part I read, they say in Korea, men walked into dark rooms in chains. It is simple. They wanted their children to burst into the sun holding flowers. Two, there's always an empty place in a name to build a face, any face. For example, a boy whose body sleeps on cactus makes miracles by touching the trees in Gusang, clan to clan, while the water watches him, as if he's counting the seasons of coming and goings of an ancestor. The sudden anticipation that leaves falling to earth in all their tenderness may belong to a tribe of dead bodies returning to their roots. Tonight, no one will interrupt your flag's journey into the open fields. As I cross into your name, Father, Forgive me if I taste myself in your mouth and I become salt. 3. First, to be water chuckling at the touch of pebbles is a blessing. To be embraced by the arm of a burning city, calling your name, is a blessing. Even to arrive in the language turbaned by sorrow is a blessing. 1,000 centuries from now, I will still know the passage into your sorrows. Wherever you are, whatever your race, promise me a road to walk through your last, through your breath and bones and be free. Let me come to you. Let me come to you with my nightfall. Hold me until the morning comes. I promise to remember you and your lost ones. 4. Let the history of fire and ashes of those before you anchor you on the road. I bless and anoint your breath with forgiveness before I meet the eyes of God who judges the way. Even freedom may bleed of flowers and stones. So that's the end of this poem. I don't know whether if you want me to say anything again about this poem, Jerry, or
let's leave it for the questioning, part of it. And so then please let us take note if we have questions, to ask. This is a conversation with these guys and not necessarily, some hot seat kind of thing. We just want to have conversations. I will then go to Miriam. Is Miriam still on? Okay, Miriam is still on. Can we go to Miriam? Miriam, you can unmute.
Yes, I'm right here. Hi, good evening.
Okay, so I'll leave you to do the introduction so that there is no repetition. So you just do the brief introduction and then, yeah.
I'm Mariam Salvan. I do not recall exactly. I cannot recall exactly the year. I think 2016 or 17. I'm not sure, but I was the first runner-up for the Korean Nigerian Poetry Prize then. And it was actually a life-changing experience, as I would recall quite clearly. That was my very first time of coming to Abuja. And afterwards, I checked it. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm in a meeting. I'm sorry. So
Okay.
So I apologize. I need to voice it. Sorry. I'll apply something for you, okay? Oh, come on. So yes. Please.
We should allow Miriam quickly take care of that poetry out there and move on to Eizoje Iyoman. Eiz, we would come to take Miriam later, Let's allow her attend to the little poet there. Okay.
Okay. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening, everybody.
Yeah.
I believe I'm being heard now.
Yes, you have been heard, but volume could go up a little bit if you
Hello,
can.
good evening. Am I heard? Yeah. Okay, my name is Ehizogie Iyomwan.
Yeah.
I think recently I love to see myself as let's say a runaway poet and a failed writer, because I decided, I think it was in 2019 September, after stop writing poetry, but start doing the acts. Like everything I've written down, I noticed that they like a message from the universe to me to act upon some things, like to fix things in society. And since I was already fixing it, until I complete those acts embedded in those poems.
Your volume is Your volume needs to go up a little bit.
Please.
Yeah, a bit low.
My volume needs to go up a little bit. Okay.
Yes.
Is it?
I think it's fine now. Oh, it's gone off completely. Hello?
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Hello.
I mean,
Okay.
the volume is going off and on, so yeah.
Okay, is it better now?
I think it's better now. Yes, it's better now.
Interrupted by someone. Okay. I have been a runner-up for the Korea Nigeria Poetry Feast Prize. I think twice, 2 times a runner-up, and then once a winner. I won in 2016 with the poem Fulani Boy. I would have preferred to read another poem a day before I die.
You're in charge. Whichever one you chose to read, just decide.
Yes. I'm so sorry about all of these interruptions coming from calls. I don't know. My phone has been very, very busy lately. So to save time, I'll just quickly read Fulani Boy because I'm unable to lay hands on the poem A Day Before I Die from the anthology Southern Africa, which is a compendium of poems by poets on the Gorée Island in Senegal, Dakar.
Yeah.
So I'll just read Fulani Boy. Just read Fulani Boy. Just a few seconds and I should be on that page.
Okay.
Oops. Okay. A few seconds, please. What's happening? Okay. Fulani Boy. So sorry, I have to just dig to Facebook to save time. Post from you. I'm sorry. I apologize for the little delay. I'm just attempting to pick Fulani Boy off Facebook. Okay, Fulani Boy. Am I being heard, please, sir? Sorry for the little delay.
Go ahead. You have been heard.
Okay, Fulani Boy. In a manger, he was born in the midst of endangered peace. In the season of Egypt, boys hiding under stained waters of religion. By a single mom, he was raised after Papa's blood soaked the arid earth. He was hit by a blind bomb, so said a frightened eyewitness. I didn't see the shrapnel, just his head lying next to his frame after the blast that blanked stairs and blurred the sense of reason. He was raised out of inheritance, a head of cattle, a muddy castle, and a bag full of pebbles picked from Papa's deathbed. He soon became a man at a tender age of 14. Intruders with prey. They wanted to get into a van, like they ride on others. No one is safe, not even safety. After the fight, he lost his. He asked for a flute to blow away his sorrow, rather than stay mute to the new forms, shapes, and figures. He is now markets without a but with a bamboo flute, piping syllable songs from his heavy heart to fill the void of a lifetime.
I think
Apologies
the
for
audio,
the breaking
yeah.
transmission. Apologies for the breaking transmission in between. It was due to lots of calls coming to my phone. These days, my phone has been so busy.
Okay. You're done, but I can say from here, I'm not sure. Hello?
Hello, so thank you, sir. Sorry for the breaking transmission in between.
Yeah. I think what I should have done is to get the soft copy ready. I doubt if I don't know, because it was so breaking that we could not get the flow of Fulani Boy. I mean, unfortunately, I'll see if before we wrap this up, we are able to put up a soft copy of Fulani Boy. I doubt, but I'll check and see. Okay, so that is a Zogie. I used to call it Zogie. Fulani Boy, the winning poem. Apart from him winning as as a runner-up for 2 other editions, eventually won on one occasion. Thank you. And sure, please, whatever question we have, we'll take them afterwards. I'd like to invite Miriam. He has been able to calm the poet, and so let's take Miriam now. Miriam.
Yes, I'm right here. Okay, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
You know, this little one sometimes I just want attention. All right. I think the poems I submitted then was Turns in Our Roses and Stolen Hopes. But I'm not doing that right now. These are like age-long poems, although they are what matters and what still really matters in our, country for now.
Yeah.
That's Nigeria. But I want to do this one, which wherein I likened myself to poetry. I described myself as poetry, and the title is I Am Poetry. So I am poetry, written in beautiful lines of verses, stanzas, rhythm and rhymes your heart dances to. Can you hear me, please?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Clearly.
In the depth of your eyes, I find my existence, and the helm of your soul houses my essence. I am those words you string together to give life to your muse, and the lines awaiting your sonorous voice to feed me to the winds and bear me to shaken souls. I am those verses arranged on the heart of your page, rhymed, free, blank, couplet, sonnet, tercet. I am the figures beautifying your speeches, adding colors, wealth, depth, and wisdom to your words. I am a piece of art, poetry like pottery, molded by the master. I am the master's piece's masterpiece. I am poetry, a work of heartful art personified. So I wrote this, I think, last year or thereabouts, and I really like it because it's like I was describing poetry, and at the same time, I was describing myself. So yes, that's it. Thank you.
I think we should open up a little bit so that we don't pile too much. They will take the other 3 immediately after this timeout. Timeout in terms of throwing it out for those of us who are here to make comments and to ask questions. We have had Innocence, we have had Eizoge, and then we have had Miriam. So here we go. Questions, comments to the 3 poets we have listened to so far about their persons, about their work, about anything you want to ask them. Ogasuidi, I welcome you. Thank you for joining us. So maybe I should start. And my first question would be to the runaway poets. Eizoge. Hello? It's okay. Are you there? Okay, if is not there, let me come back to Innocence. Hello, Innocence. Innocence.
I can hear you loud and clear, sir.
Okay, very good. I see you have not unmuted. That's okay. You man, you can hear me now. All right. My question to you: in
Yes,
your
sir.
intro, you talked about, even though I have had this before, but you've mentioned it again, the fact that you run away, from poetry, maybe for the meantime, maybe for whatever. I would like to know, or probably let me speak for everyone and say, would like to know what informs that decision. I have read a couple of your works, including the one you referred to in the Senegalese residency, and a lot of other ones. I mean, those who are not writing well, it will be easier to agree with them to say, okay, I beg, let me go and find something else to do before I embarrass myself, calling myself a poet when I am not one. But that is not the case with you. So what would inform your stepping away from poetry, if you would want to share with us?
Okay. I feel my generation of, will I say, Nigerians and Africans are not doing enough. And then when I say I feel they are not doing enough, I'm actually talking about myself. We are not doing enough, and I am not doing enough. I feel that we are on the earth for a purpose, and until we discover that purpose, we shouldn't be ready to crawl, not to talk of walking or even running. So I discovered my purpose, and then I said it was time to fly. And I think last 2 years, after the second edition of Thinking Tomorrow is the Assemblage, I said, yes, it was time to fly. It's time to do away with, let me call it childish things, especially because we check, I became more of a critic. I became more of a critic of society generally, from religion to literature to, at some point, person started mistaking my criticisms and then started giving me new tags to who they felt I was. So I'll use, for example, in Kaduna, myself, Swede, Sadiq, Zukogi, and many others had a very beautiful conversation on what we feel our generation is supposed to fight, because I feel all generations are to look for a major demon to tackle, and then until they defeat that demon, they have failed their generation. I remember Shoyinka saying that their generation, they have failed, and then the ball now lies in our court to attempt to salvage the country and, in the larger arm, the continent from whatever is bedeviling it. So also in Jos, we also had a conversation as to that as well. So what happened was, I think the LNNG for poetry a couple of years ago, I did a major critique of the works that I saw there. I saw that the prize became so political, and then it started losing its savor. So I was the only person of my generation who was bold enough to confront, if you ask me, the oil magnates and whatever they were doing back then. And the battle was so tough, and then I got calls from the company itself, and then I got calls also from older generation poets, and I told them it wasn't a fight. If they were smart enough, especially the publishers who release those works, however bad the book is, bad publicity or good publicity is good for business. So I think in one of those conversations, I told one of the publishers, if you're a smart person, what I expect you to do is release these works now. People are asking, oh, where is this book? He's playing with the book, or Gary for sale and the rest. Where is the book? Sell the books and make money. So I feel that is the part how my own generation is failing. We do not know how to market our works. We do not know how to
Hello?
Can you hear me, sir?
Okay, yeah. There was a pause for some minutes, for a
Okay.
minute. So,
Okay.
but you're back. Yeah.
Okay, so we have people who want society to pat them on the back even when they are doing the wrong thing, because they are placed in places of authority, and we in this our younger generation, we look up to these persons as, oh, they've come before us, and then they deserve the whatsoever treatment they are getting with respect to respect. Well, I feel that respect is a problem is a problem on the continent. Like when we're having a conversation, the next thing the person asks me, you know who I be your mate, like age comes into the picture, and not meritocracy and creativity. So I felt that my purpose was done with respect to critiquing. Now it was time to act, because there is one thing in saying something is bad, is another thing in preferring solutions. So in 2017, after critiquing the LNG generally in 2017, people wrote me and said, oh, I should better just know that it's a done deal for me with respect to literary prizes. They have all of these guys everywhere. They call them the gatekeepers, and you're sending works to so and so place. This is what's going to look like. But like, I told the person that fuck all of those things. I'm not even interested in the prizes in the first place. I write because I felt there was a reason to write. And I was not just writing poetry, I was writing my life and what I was supposed to do. So the moment I decided to now throw off writing, I said, okay, it is time to now act. I created initiative where I believe I've been leaders from the followers. The followers lead and the leaders serve Africa what it is. So I went back to my poems, especially the first poem that got me the first Ronald Prize in 2014. I was a 400 level student of economics and statistics at the University of Benin. Then that's where Africans. So I looked into that poem again, and then the other poem of There is Good in This Land, and I started seeing something else in as to why I was writing. So I actually discovered purpose. So I decided to enroll, go back to school from being a science student or social science student, went back to school, wrote SSC again, wrote JAM, and then entered school and planted Thinking Tomorrow, which I was running while I was serving Nigeria in the north. So it was that same period of serving Nigeria that I got the prize itself eventually with Fulani Boy in 2016. So I set up Thinking Tomorrow, and today the nonprofit runs on its own, such that 3 businesses have been registered with the CAC, and then the businesses have been running the nonprofit, and we've been able to raise at least 36 leaders so far. We started raising them from 100 level. We are only interested in 100 level students. So generally, I've stopped writing, but recently I've been getting letters from, especially one of the universities in the US have asked me to do a little lecturing online via Zoom and also send my works for consideration. But I'm still thinking through it, because I've also been approached by Nigerian publishers like Servio's publishing outfit has approached that I send my recent collection, which I completed during the Abedi Writers Residency. So that's why I stopped writing. I feel writers should act and stop, not just stop, they should speak and also act and write. Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, that's quite insightful. So it means there is a whole lot, I mean, going on. Okay, thank you, Izogie, and I'll come to Innocence very quickly. My question to you, Sharaman, would be, I mean, how much has poetry taken from you? How much, I mean, poetry has pushed Izogie to the point of, let me say, getting into trouble with, in Nigeria, if you don't do PR critiquing, sometimes you have not started, because you will earn enmity for yourself. It is the same thing in theater. It is the same thing in every other, genre of art. But you are, the reason I am asking how much poetry has taken from you or offer you is because while speaking earlier on, you did mention that you live writing. I mean, it would be good to know if that's what you live solely on, and I mean, what are the guiding principles? Innocence.
Okay. Did you mention whether if I said I live writing? Did you say that?
That
I want to get you very clearly. Did you say if I say is it that I live writing or I live on writing?
Live on, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, that's what you said, right? Or did I get it wrong?
Yes. I said okay. I live on writing. That's aside other things that I do. And I think apart from me,
and sorry, strictly poetry or writing generally, please. Yes.
Writing generally.
Okay.
But poetry was the first step. You get. My first introduction to poetry, to writing generally, was poetry. But as I started writing poetry, the more I become more courageous to try other forms of writing. But I want an identity. I want an identity in the sense that when people mention my name, I want to be remembered as a poet. So the other forms of writing that I do, the prose, the fiction, whatever it is, these are things that I don't get to put out in the public. So I go into ghostwriting, freelancing.
Yeah.
People like Swedi, Swedi is here. You can
Yeah.
testify to that. Yeah.
Okay.
I've written a lot of, yeah, my God, top actually. I have written a lot of works, books, several books actually. And it's not something that I think I'm permitted to release the name since it's a freelancing job. But they have actually been quite successful. I live on writing in the sense that sometimes there are certain favors you are not expecting. But the fact that you are a writer, you get people meet you and kind of you encounter favor in their place. So there are some Nigerian writers that I have met along the way, along the journey, and they love my writing and they open their doors to me. They embrace me as a king. And it was really amazing. One of these people is Wale Okediron. I happen to be a fellow of the Ebede International Writers Residency.
Yeah.
That was in 2018. Even though my writing is good, from people's testimony, of course, I tend to feel that it's because, let me give credit to Korean Nigerian Poetry Prize. I think I won it in 2017, and it gave strength to my application for the residency, you get? So when I applied for that, I mentioned that I was accepted as a fellow. But there are other favors you get in poetry that are not actually objective, not physical. It comes from the kind of people that you meet along the way. Poetry has helped me, has enlightened the path that I choose to follow in life. You know, a few years ago, like let me not just a few years ago, because I think I've been writing for the past 10 years now. I have just a little elementary understanding of life, Omaba.
Yeah.
I have just small elementary understanding of life, and I realized that it has affected my relationship with people. But the more I begin to write, the more I engage myself in a world that excludes other people. I realize that by understanding that world I create for myself, I can come out of there and create a necessary junction whereby I can welcome everybody into it.
Yeah.
So I gain from poetry not just the monetary aspect,
Sure.
I gain relationships, I gain enlightenment, I gain credible interpretations that have made me to perceive, understand, and obtain the values that I really need in life. There's one more thing. Somebody is passing. Sorry, this is a hotel I'm in.
It's okay. Just go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. There's one more thing. I come from a family that, let me just get a bit personal because most of my poetry is personal. Somebody just asked me that how did I get inspired to write the poem that I write? So my inspiration could be external, but the words that come into my poetry are from my own life. So basically I come from a family that I've experienced this detachment, like right from childhood. And I don't know, growing up since a hard thing to do, like after I've grown up, to accept some certain people into my life, family members, stuff, because of the whole years of attachment, it was hard. But poetry creates a place for forgiveness. You get? It creates a place for forgiveness for me, that the people that were in there before, in my poetry, I open doors for them and I accept and I forgive them.
Yeah.
So that was why I was writing. I was writing the line here that, let me see if I can remember it. I said something that, let the history of, in the poem that I read, I said, let the history of fire and ashes of those before you anchor you on the road. I bless and I anoint your bread with forgiveness. So that's basically what I was trying to do there. That's what poetry has done for me. So it's not just the monetary aspect. It's not just creating a scaffold for welcoming everyone, but also my immediate, my extended family members who have never really been there. But now that I have poetry that's always going to be there for me, it became a place for a junction, necessary junction for spreading out forgiveness. So that's what I benefited. But generally, I think I live in writing. Let me just say this now. I think we are running out of time.
Yeah.
I started an agency recently, and it's an intermedia agency. Just like I said at the beginning, most guys like me, young Nigerian people who write poetry, like you wouldn't understand this, but out of 100 Nigerian young writers, you wouldn't be surprised to find more than 40 of them into freelance. I'm telling you, most of them that I've met in Lagos while I was in Lagos, they are mostly doing freelancing. So they do their own writing, they do whatever it is they do, but they always come back. So most of their lives, whether they are working in institutions, they are working in private places, what they do there is basically has to do with writing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it has to be writing. So it's also the same thing with me. So I think it's just something of pride to say that I live on writing.
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, so Miriam, if you are there, the question Stella is just took on now actually is a question I have waiting for you. But incidentally, someone has already asked him such question, but that's still okay. That is to say, I mean, how did you get inspiration for the poetry you write or for your writing generally? I don't know if you write in the other genres, but poetry that also. How did you get inspired for for the poetry you write?
Yeah, usually my poems are usually inspired through by the things I go through, things people around me go through, things occurrence in my society. I do a lot of write-ups in that regard, and more recently now I'm focused on journaling. I do journal coaching now.
Yeah.
And I had my very first session just last month, and then the second stream is on. I call it Journey Through Journaling. And I train people on how to channel their writing, their emotion, monitor their growth and progress, and losses. I went through a kind of transitioning after the loss of my husband. So, and I dedicated my time into journaling proper. But before now, I only I do journal for a website, as a columnist, a weekly kind of, experience about my what I was going through as a student and at the same time a mother. And after a while, I published that on an ebook. It's on Okada Books there, Journal of a Student's Mother. That was a good experience, but after the loss of my husband, I took to journaling fully and properly, like every day, writing my experience as a widow. So afterwards, seeing the immense, impact that had in helping me to manage my grief, I decided that, I could help people because I read up a lot about it. I did a lot of research about it. And I realized that for people that cannot exactly go see psychologists or meet with a counselor or see all these mind doctors and all of that, they could, how about they rant or they express their feelings and emotions, their fears and uncertainties and all of these things. They put it down into writing. This is what I'm doing, and it's helping me a lot. So I took up the whole idea. I kind of conceptualized it. Then it was time to actualize it. And glory be to God, for my very first class, I had over 20 participants, and it was a paid class, as a matter of fact. And because of my background,
I think okay.
Put all of these things into structure. So, and also it helps in, of course, people want to know, who want to teach them this thing, who want to put them through this thing. Okay, so it's not just about the skills and experience anymore. It's also about the professionalism and also about the I'm certified. So, and yeah, glory be to God. I'm the present one right now. We're having the second stream. I'm also, exploring other options, bringing it's closer to children also. So I have primary schools that have invited me over, to come and include it in the syllabus. You understand? So yeah, but underneath, I with me, poetry has always been a tool to help me, you know, um, put down my emotion in the best way possible. So even while I was going through really trying times, poetry is what has helped me. I do put all these things down in a few lines. Sometimes few lines run into so many lines, and then people write it, then they get a glimpse of what it's going. They get a glimpse of you know the kind of things running through that I'm going through, and they help in their own kind of way, the support, kind words, and all of that. So yeah, it's been an amazing journey. Poetry is and will remain a great tool for me, as a writer and as a poet. It has been a really, really great journey so far. And although I have actually stopped, I have stopped putting in for contests. All of these competition, contest, poetry contests, and all of that. No, I want my works to speak for themselves now. I feel I've had enough of that, even though it's just a few. At least I won up like up to 4 or 5 different poetry awards. But sometimes I feel that even the judges cannot really get it. Once I write my write up, and I feel great about it, like I can feel each word. So I just feel satisfied that yeah, this is it. There is nothing anybody can say to me about it. Critics, people that just want to appreciate it or something, I'll just say thank you. But with me, this is an amazing job, and then that is just it. So I stopped putting it for context, not because I've lost. No, most of my poetry competition, the one I had maybe the least of the distance would be maybe I come third, or I'll be maybe in the top 5 or something. But I just feel that at some point I just felt that my work, I'm proud of my work enough. I do not want anybody to start digging through it and feeling that, oh, yeah, I think this is good enough or this is not good enough. No, it is good enough. I know. So, but aside that, I still write it. I write it in freelance. I write it on, and I have a collection I'm working on too, as a matter of fact. So, and yeah, they're still cooking. They're yet to be done because of so many other projects I have right in front of me. So, yeah. Thank you also, Mr. Jerry, for putting this together. It's these things like these are really things that helps us to keep inspiring us into churning out more and more great works of poetry. I belong to some poetry groups too. I co-founded one with a friend of mine in the University of Lagos. We call it the Parliament of Poets. And we did some works for advocacy using poetry. We did some works around environmental change. We did some works around we were even called to what do they call this thing, to present some poetry works during some programs then, school programs. And yeah, it's so I'm always open to anything that has to do with still promoting poetry, you know helping people to really identify with poems, because it's not everybody that can write poems. It's not everybody that can read poems too. But usually my poems are written in simple, plain language, but then they are in depth with a lot of meaning. So people read it and they enjoy it just on the surface. But for some that really know me, they still want to reach out and say, "What are you thinking? What were you thinking when you wrote that thing?" They want to know what exactly was going through my mind. But overall, poetry is just the best to how it's the best language I can speak, I feel.
Yeah.
So it's amazing being here on this space with you all. Thank you all so much. It's
All
amazing meeting
right.
with you.
Awesome. Thank you, Miriam. Sorry about your husband. I'm sure you are as a poet, you have a way of overcoming that. It's not going to be very easy, but please be strong and thank you. Before we move to the remaining two, we still have two of those laureates in the house. Oko Owoicho, I hope I pronounced that very well, and Madu Chisholm. But before we take those two gentlemen, we have a guest in the house. She has not participated in the Korean Nigeria Poetry Prize before, so she couldn't have won. But she's a very good friend of the house and a wonderful poet, you would agree with me. So I would like to quickly call on Iyanu Adebiyi to just give us something. Let's use that to break away from this, and then we take those my two powerful men in the house. And yes, Iyanu, you have the floor.
Hi.
Or you have the mic.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me, for inviting me here.
Yeah.
I've really enjoyed the session. Sorry, I haven't been contributing so much. I'm trying to conserve my energy. I'm not feeling too well.
Oh.
Yes, so well, it was nice listening to all the poets who have read their work and spoken so far. I really enjoyed all the poems, and yeah, I'm just going to read a poem because of how I feel. I'm going to read a poem titled Positive. And this poem was, it was commissioned by by NACA. So I wrote it about being HIV/AIDS positive, HIV, having those issues. And before I wrote the poem, I had to do some research and kind of like put myself into the shoes of whoever it was, whoever it was I wanted to speak to. I wanted to speak to people who are going through, the HIV/AIDS issue, but not just them, but anybody who's going through any illness or disease of any form. I just wanted to put hope out there. And I think that one thing that helped me write this poem more was a particular illness I went through that was really, really scary for me. In fact, I had the death scare during that period. So this poem means a lot to me. I hope it kind of, makes you feel better if you're feeling any type of way. I know it will make me feel better, and that's why I'm choosing this poem to read today. So yeah, enjoy. Today, I am awakened by something other than my alarm. It is the fragile voice of the muezzin coming from a nearby mosque. His call to prayer like call to glory on an obituary leaflet. The sadness in my room is so full and ghostly. I find myself thinking about everything that can go wrong today. So I bend my body into the shape of prayer and tell my soul again and again to be positive. I am trying to go back to when being positive did not mean that my body is a bag of flesh and virus, a bunch of systems that undo themselves, a civil war, a river of cells that drown their own, force it to die slowly. I want to go back to when being positive meant being enthusiastic, hopeful, not this battlefield where the thing that should defend you becomes the thing that is trying to kill you. I do not want to be this disease, this graveyard, this tank of loaded guns everyone runs away from. I do not want my blood to be poison or my cells to be prison. I want to be a call to prayer, not a call to glory, not a metaphor for living dead. I do not want my body to be a jungle. And so I am learning to be positive about being positive, to let gratitude fall from my lips with every rising of the sun to its falling down, to receive healing in tablets that open my veins like a door, gather each deadly virus, snatch the swords from their hands and tell them that this body is the holy ground. There is no reason to fight. Sweet talk the disease into submission. tell it, I am not what the diagnosis has called me. I am positive in a different kind of way, a New Testament, a miracle, an orchestra of praises for all the ones who stack themselves up like walls to replace my collapsed immune system. You are my red ribbon heroes, my gentle light in the deep, deep darkness, my emblem of hope. Please take my blood cells, mold them back into warriors that fight for me, fight for my dreams, fight for everything fighting for me. Yeah, that was positive.
Yeah, positive.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yano, and that's indeed positive. I'm having the pleasure of listening to this poem for the second time. Yes, even though I remember I was too busy, to really get the message of the poem the last time, but listening to it again now, thank you, thank you. We'll come to you, reserve your questions, even though Yano is a guest. If you have questions for her, she will take it. But let's go to that gentleman called Madu Chisom. Madu, are you in the house?
Good evening.
Do you want to make some noise for us to be sure you are here? Okay. Madu, you have the mic.
All right. Good evening, sir.
Just a very brief intro. Apart from poetry, what do you do? What are you doing at the moment? If you can do that in 2 minutes, read us a poem and then we'll ask you a question later. Go ahead.
All right, sir. Thanks so much for this. For now, I will say that though I've stopped writing poetry anyway, I am into aviation. I work in the airport right now, and agencies and the organizations. So that is it for now. So this has really stopped me from writing poetry. That is it. But however, somehow, let me say, every month, 2 times I write, or I will leave. I will not even write again. So concerning my poem, I want to read anyway, is the one that won second prize in 2019, Naked Reflections for Nigeria, 59. So the poem actually is one everybody can relate, because 1st October is always a time for reflection of Nigerian independence, what we have gone through from the colonial masters, though even pre-colonial era to colonial and post-colonial actually. So the poem was written because of the independence of Korea then. So I thought it would be pertinent to also write for Nigeria. So because I believe other people were also writing for Korea and something like that, like Shara Marx wrote for Korea, I think. So the poem reflects so much about Nigeria, what we have been coming through, how we have been faring so far, and if there is also hope for Nigeria. So I will start. Naked Reflection for Nigeria at 59. Every 1st October comes with a nostalgic feeling that combines a bandage of colonial scars in the seal of time in our chronic line. Each scare is a Golgotha tattooed with hidden blood of heroes whose ashes still sing requiems for our country on the knife edge of marital interment. This feeling lodges limbo in our true consciousness and leaves us stranded in the pant of nightfall. If independence is a honeymoon of ageless sufferance, Nigeria is a river in your mouth, but desert wraps your lungs into a terminal test. The reason our children are lost in the womb of Sahara and Mediterranean Sea. She is a ventilated room that stifles you with scented smokes of your neighbor generators in Nepalese nights of losing men into death watch and kiss them faster than Boko Haram's bomb. No wonder she carries dogs in between the thighs of her dream. Yet, each new government has come with a rainbow of sweet promises, projecting a shaft of sunlight, only to plunder the grace of our earth. 1 million toys, shrivel and break. Make here an oasis, give us fairest weather and our living food. where we plant our dreams and watch them become trees with succulent breasts and pointed nipples. For how long shall we keep digging in this grave of survival on the streets where air is drunk with the dust from the feet of sweat-beaten men, knowing that here, tomorrow is always this day, with rumor gathering clouds without rain? Alas, everyone is a battler that has cut her into pieces without making her a bridal gown of pride. So do not say, it is not my country. For as the sun breaks from the eastern shade to overcome the fangs of darkness, we, the landlords of this land, wrapped by a few tenants of the rock, must first follow the light stretching towards a crystal horizon, where our tears and greens must forge a common tie, mending potholes of yesterday fronts, as we bury our ethnic venoms, start to test the lights of independence. So that is the poem. That is the poem.
Thank you, Madhu. So we have someone else here who stopped writing. Izogie, now you have a disciple. We don't know how many more. I am sure. I am sure Oko has not stopped. So there is nothing to worry about. Let's move very quickly because of our time and take Oko Owoicho. Oko. You need to pronounce your name.
Yes.
Before somebody will sue me to EFCC. You need to pronounce it for us. Yes, you have the mic.
It's Oko Owi Ocho.
Okay, Oko Owi Ocho.
Okay.
All right.
Yes, exactly. I guess I should remove the cap. So. Don't mind the board here. Good evening, everybody. I came late. I've been on the road from Benue to Abuja, and it was tell them that we're in England.
Okay, that is poetry. Please go ahead.
I don't want to go to England, please. I am Africa. I think I should read my poem, right? Okay, so I'll.
Sean, what are you doing now? Who is Oko Owoicho Owi name? I will have to come to Benue to learn that name. So it's a little bit of what you do at the moment. Benue poetry troupe. I mean, so that those who are here who don't know you get to know you.
It's okay. Just as mentioned earlier, I am Oko Owi Ocho Africa. The Africa is my performance name. Somehow after we started a group, Africa, right? I dropped the name from my name, so it wouldn't be like the group is basically about myself. I wanted the group to have the feel that the Africa is the continent, not the individual.
Yeah.
I founded Benue Poetry Troupe also, and by the grace of God, we've had several events. Last year we organized the Color of Benue.
Yeah.
This year in the month of May we'll be performing Meirogo by Malam Denja Abdullahi, and other events that we've taken part in. Right now, just like the other persons, I'm trying not to say this so it wouldn't seem like all of us are not writing.
Yeah.
But, but I've not,
okay.
I've not written poetry for some time now, but that's not to say I've not been writing. I've been currently I'm working on a book project of fourth generation Nigerian poets. So with that in mind, I've given my attention more to criticism than the creative side of it. And what that is also helping me to do, it sort of creates a balance where I'll not allow my own creative inkling and the aesthetic order to impede on the evaluation I would be giving on people's work. Yeah. So that's where we are now at the moment. Yeah. And I think it's also important I talk briefly about Korean Nigeria Poetry Prize, because it's for me. it's like one of the major epochs that ushered me into a new pattern of poetry. And I would like to say all thanks to Sharamang. Sharamang is actually, till tomorrow, till next tomorrow, I always say he's one of the best poets in my generation. Yes, you know. And I actually participated a year after he won. Yeah. And we were together that year when I think, yeah, we were still together somehow when I won, and I was like, yeah, it's the Sharamang spirit that is covering me now. You know, it's yeah, he's smiling. It's been amazing. And the truth is, what most people don't know is the poem that got me the Korea Nigeria Poetry Prize. I actually wrote that poem at my lowest point. I was in school. I was financially stranded, no house, no school fee, no money, nothing. So, and then I always go to the riverside whenever I'm feeling down. I go the river Benway, throw stones into the water. Then the line just came to my head. Okay, well, we will sing water. And lo and behold, I sang water, and it got me the Korean Nigeria Poetry Prize. You know, so it's kind of been a very big one for me. And I'll pay tight, Abby. But it's okay. So I would like to read a poem. We will sing water, if you don't mind. We will sing water. There is something about the way water sings. Its keynote breaks the fragrance of tender memories. I receive you through the pathway of the song. Aladi, here birds are flying in two, and fishermen sing lonely songs in cold chats. I hold you with water and its sad songs. There is something about the way water sings. It lifts me a high pitch of sorrow. I remember we sang to God through water, and you have always contended with him until you fell under the machete of the headers. Now I know the music of guns too. After your death, I became a warrior, but I still sing water. Blood, though thicker, did not kill the softness you planted. I remember your tongue unfolded words. I know water, are we? Water is the song we sang to God. Sing water and rebuild me in the shape of God. This country did not wait for me to shape you. So I stuffed the surface of the moon with songs and bullets. I'll howl when bats make love. My barrel roused when crickets mound. Every dawn, Aladi, I recover you through pathway of water, hoping I'll carve you into the shape of God. But now that the sea invites me for a kiss, Aladi, we will sing water on the other side. So thank you. That's that about the poem. I don't want to go on about it, but I think the style for me then was I was hiding my grief, my personal grief of being lonely, of feeling homeless all through my life, of feeling unwanted and everything. So most of the poems I wrote then, I looked for practical political issues to infuse into it. And the closest to me then was the issue of the herdsmen attacking Benue State. Even though I was feeling lonely, I was feeling horrible about my individual grief, my undefined grief. There was a sort of loneliness that the whole killing of Benue people also brought to me. Those days, if I heard that any part of Benue was attacked, like I actually took it very personal. You know, when coming from Lagos, trying to embrace Benue as my home, and Benue became a place where the stories were stories of killing and everything. So it affected me.
What happened to your audio? Okay, so you're done. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Are you done?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Paul said, the waterman. I actually drank water while you were saying that poem, so I don't know. Thank you. I mean, and congratulations for the very wonderful work you are doing with the Benue Poetry Troupe. I mean, I've been following also, and I hope that one day you will cast me in one of your, you will cast me in one of your productions, or we will be able to. Why are you laughing now? You will cast me in one of your production, and as we begin, we continue to cook. You know, before I throw it open, our time is, we have just about 10 minutes to run out of here, and I would want to see if we have questions. The truth is that I don't have questions for these two guys, including, I'll just throw a general question, which any of you, could get to answer. I'm talking about the three of Iyanu, Oko, and Madu Chisom. I mean, prices. We've been talking about prices. Miriam was categorical earlier on that she no longer want to push works out for literary consideration. We have had issues while Iyoman was talking. He talked about the NLNG price and the controversies behind it. The drama part of the NLNG, the last time, we also have issues. I also had to critique, I felt, or my opinion, you would say, that the player that won shouldn't have won, but because the whole thing is being politicized. So you have always had issues around literary prizes. And I remember while I was writing for Next newspaper, I had, what's this Ugandan writer again? I had an interview with this Ugandan writer, the lady, I can't remember her name now, a very popular writer, and I asked her opinion of literary prizes.
Stella.
And she said to me that she's indifferent about literary prizes, that sometimes a publisher have had to enter a work for prizes, sometimes she has had to ask them to withdraw it, and sometimes it's a but that the truth remains that for every literary prize you enter for, no matter how good you think you are at the mercy of the judges. You are at the mercy of the judges. It is whoever they decide to declare winner, that is the winner. You can go on and criticize the judges or the conditions that, and all of that. So I would just throw to you and say, what is your take about literary prizes? Good enough, some of you have won literary prizes, so it's good to know what you think about it. And I will want Oga Swedi, I want Swedi to weigh in on this once we get response from any of you. Yeah. Swedi and Auntie Guyana. Yes, please.
Can I talk?
Yes, please.
Okay, the thing about literary prizes, I think after Korea Nigeria Poetry Prize, myself, I've been quite reluctant in entering for prizes. Just like Miriam said, at some point I was asking myself that, I was even telling myself that, is it pride that is actually preventing me from entering some of these things? Because I check, most especially now that I'm giving my time to criticism, I often ask myself that, what are the measures that the judges are using to decide the poem that wins? Then some winners, you look at the poems or the works and you feel like they're actually not worth it. Truth be told, the evaluating apparatus of some judges, in quotes, they are not excellent. But when such a person happens to be a judge, his decisions are final. So I think there is a way that prizes. There is a way that prizes, relying on prizes as justification for great work, affects the worth, yes, the worth of a work, and which is, though now I seldom I seldom enter for competitions. Actually, these days I prefer to write proposal and apply for grants. Let my project, let the people evaluate my project. But for creative work, I ask myself that, who is the person going to judge my work? Because there are very few people, I till date, without apology, there are very few people that I often feel they can assess my work. One of them is Sharamang. Sharaman, whatever Sharaman thinks of my work, I feel that okay, yes, I enjoy his prowess in evaluating work. Another person is AJ Dagatola. That one I know they even use and play. If you say remove this full stop, I'll check and there's a need to remove it. And my Oga saw it here. You know, whenever Su says Africa, I think that thing that he thinks, you know. So apart from these people, I don't have much regard for. Of course, there are more people. There are more people. Let me not be fun. Don't be killing this comment. So let me be political, please. You know. So I think that prizes are not all, and we must get to a point in our life that we must also disembark on some of those things. Say somebody like me that I'm even mentoring several people. I encourage them to enter for these prizes. So they give me their poem to possibly edit and discuss. We talk about those poems. So I don't care to enter for myself anymore.
Yeah.
You see. And why I want them to also have a taste of it is the money is very, very important. The money is important to most of us and to them. So but let those who should enter now enter and have a taste of it. But we get to a point that we become quite
okay, Iano. Iano, do you want to have a quick say in this? Okay, Iano is not on the call anymore. So let's take Ogaswedi. Let's have you weigh in on this issue, and then we'll take my auntie Diana. Paul is also here. You cannot escape without saying. Ogaswedi.
Generally, I think prizes are really good because nobody can deny that we respect prizes a lot. And if we didn't have certain prizes, certain people would not be known. The fact that most of us are here is even because of the certain prize. If we didn't have this Korea-Nigeria prize, we would not have most of us here. Yeah. But I think the major issue is where we think that the be-all and everything is these prizes. Where you begin to write for prizes alone, that's where the wahala comes. Yeah. And I can easily pick an example. What's this man's name? This guy who died, the poet who died. Ikeogu, yes, Ikeogu. Ikeogu was not among, I'm not sure he was among the top 3 for the Korea-Nigeria prize in a certain year. And by the next year, he won the NLNG.
He was third that year.
Okay, he was third. So imagine, he went from third in the Korea-Nigeria prize to being the first in the NLNG. So it did not go to say that his poetry was necessarily third-rated or anything.
Yeah.
The problem is where you begin to measure yourself and say, okay, I would only think of myself based on this. And it's the same thing that comes with submissions. Where you're making submissions and you're getting rejections, and you think that, okay, you cannot write because you're simply getting rejections. That's where the wahala is. So if you don't have that thick skin to know yourself personally and know your worth, then you shouldn't apply for these prizes. You shouldn't apply for this submission because they would easily make you to feel far less than yourself. And one day you might even decide to stop writing because you start saying, maybe I'm not good enough. That's why I'm not winning this prize. But again, the thing is, it's very possible that year the judge didn't pick your work because the judge doesn't particularly like your theme and prefers somebody else's theme or something. It's also possible that you just took a poem that wasn't your best poem for that particular year or something of that nature. So in the end, if you're not thick-skinned enough, please do not enter for prizes. But they are a very, very important part of our establishment and they'll keep on being. And I hope that somehow we get more people to sponsor prizes. It's one of the best ways to make our writings grow because as a publisher, I can easily say that when we have these prizes, when people see your book and they go like, this book won the Jerry Arojah Prize for so and so, they say, it must be a good book for it to have won a prize. Yeah. So we cannot take that away. They are very important, but if you can't do without them, if you don't have that skin, then, well, as they would say, you can't bear the heat, stay out of the bloody kitchen.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Thank you. Auntie Diana. kindly have a quick say before we take Paul, and then we are done. Yes, good to have you.
You like to call me Auntie Diana.
Yeah.
You don't like my name Equal.
Or
Diana Abbas.
You know, we're planning to replace you with Diana of England before. They say they don't want black person.
So.
Thanks for coming.
So I think that, I mean, as Swedi said, prizes are important, but they're not the most important thing. Sure. So prizes give validation, definitely. But it's important that as writers, we understand that prizes, just like the appreciation of literature, is a very subjective matter. Mm. So that you find that there are people who cannot, for instance, appreciate maybe Africa's poetry. And it doesn't then mean that it's not good enough. Maybe it's just not for that person. You then find that if on a panel of judges, you have a judge that really is awed, by that kind of poetry, and then you have two judges who do not fancy it, then they won't speak it. It doesn't then mean that that poet's writing is not good enough. So it's important that writers understand this. I don't think it's enough to say, okay, because I don't think that when you're confident enough of your work, you then should necessarily say you're not going to enter for any prize. I think that it's also nice to still enter for a prize once in a while, but not make it a preoccupation. I agree. So it's like saying, okay, you submit poems to be published in journals or magazines, or you submit stories and you get rejections. Then you stop sending those stories out because, nobody's giving you a chance to be published, or, nobody's picking you as a finalist for a prize. It's not enough. So it's important. Well, what's most important is that we keep writing and that we keep sharing our work. The prizes they're nice, but they're not the most important thing. So keep sharing your work, keep writing, and if you ever feel like entering for a prize, go ahead and enter. And those who are entering prizes are no less important, no less skilled, no less confident than those who do not enter. There's enough room for everybody who's writing poetry to decide to perch on whatever part of the bench they want to perch on.
Yes.
But the most important thing, let's keep writing. Let's keep documenting our experiences. Let's keep sharing them. That's what I think is most important.
Thank you. Thank you for that view. Let's take the last word from Paul. Mr. Liam. Is Mr. Liam there? Or you have gone to Mina?
Okay, I am here.
All right, bro.
Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Let's take the last word from you.
Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity to join this conversation, even though I've had more fun contributing via the chat room.
Yeah.
I have been privileged to meet all the poets, laureates that I've read. One thing that stands out for me is the uniqueness of each poet and the poem that they've read and the various inspirations that led to the conception of the various poems. But as much as we have enjoyed the poem, we would also have noticed that poetry comes to us in different ways and manners. And it is what we have seen tonight. Although all of these poems, or some of these poems, have won the Korean Nigerian Poetry Prize, you would see that they were conceived from different perspectives. Yeah. And this tells us that the appreciation of poetry is predisposed to the self-inflicting idea of the subjectivity of the individual who is appreciating them. This is not to say that literary prizes are not significant as equal, and I think Swedi and some other persons have illustrated. I think they are very important. But For a writer and a poet in particular, I think the most important thing for me is to ask yourself why you write, and if you're able to understand your place as a writer and to recognize that your creativity, your talent, and your work cannot simply rely on the validation of a group of 5, 10 people who sit somewhere to decide whether they enjoy it or not, then you will discover that your responsibility to humanity and society is larger than the prizes that you have won. Yeah. But if you get a pat on the back for doing something good, I don't think there is anything wrong with it. And this is why the Korean Nigerian Poetry Prize has been very, very instrumental to the encouragement and sustenance to a great extent of our poetry, particularly as you can see. Maybe some of these guys, this was their first prizes, but they have something concrete to write home about in terms of gaining some level of appreciation, for their works. For people who say they are so much comfortable with their works to the point that they do not think or they do not feel that there are much people who could render some level of critique on their works, well, that is also a subjective position to take. For there is no art that has closure. Every piece of art is subjective to the interpretation of human beings from various perspectives, whether we agree with what they think of our works or not, whether we think they are academically qualified to critique our works or not, is left to us to decide. But as far as they are concerned, they have their opinions, and it is their right to make whatever opinions that they want to make. For art, it's about dialogue and it's about conversation. Last week, I bought a copy of Eco's Eforiro and Other Stories. Eforiro and Other Stories at Adam's Pages. Why did I buy the book? Of course, I've been meaning to buy the book, but I didn't know what to expect from the book, having known that known Eco to be a poet. But when I read the first, the opening line, sentence to the collection, I found myself laughing at the bookstore, and I said there was no way that I couldn't buy this book. If I had wanted to buy, now there was a reason for me to buy, because I wanted to appreciate Eco's prose, more than just the assumption that, yeah, she's a fine poet and then she'll be a fine writer. And I tell you, whether she wins an award or not, I find her collection unputdownable, as we would often say, because I have not been reading for a very long time. But I tell you truthfully, every night since I got that book, I have been reading. I just came back from a workshop somewhere in Maitama, thereabout. But I hope that tonight, as I'm going to go home, I shall read a story, maybe a paragraph or a sentence out of that book. That is how much trade I am by her creativity work. And of course, I have my own, which hopefully when I do a review, I shall x-ray some of the concerns that I have noticed about the work. It doesn't matter whether anyone agrees with them or not, but sometimes these commentaries are necessary. Yeah. So as a final word, I'd like to say congratulations once again to the poet laureates who have thrilled us tonight. I've enjoyed every bit of the poems that I've listened to, and I hope that we'll continue to write for ourselves and for society. And I want to leave us with these words from Hizoge, who said that writers must write, but they must also act. Yeah. And this was part of our conversation with Swedi, Sadiq Zikogi, and others at our Poetic Dialogue for the World Poetry Day, that beyond writing poetry, what is the involvement or what is the role of the writer in contributing physically and practically to the society? So I connected to Hizoge when he said that we must write, but we must not just write, we must speak about what is wrong about the writing system, about the publishing culture, and about our society in general, whether people attack us or not. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Liam. We must keep writing. I am sure Ezekiel is going to come back, and when he comes, people would probably have to go look for what do they call it? Cover, because he's probably going to come angry. Thank you, Mr. Liam. As you know, the Korean Nigeria Poetry Prize produced 2 editions of anthology. This one here, which is the first one, unfortunately, just the last copy is available. And then this second one. The third of the series was supposed to have been in that 2019, but that didn't happen, unfortunately. It's still receiving anointing on my laptop, and I'm sure we are going to get done with it, anytime soon. We are definitely going to do it. And at the moment, Arojah runs 2 sets of prizes. Okay, the second one is going to be called very soon. That is the Arojah Student Playwriting Prize. The Arojah Student Playwriting Prize, which is, specifically for students in higher institutions. Agbalagbas like you cannot participate in that one. It's just for undergraduates. We hope that we get the right backing, and then by next year, which will be the 3rd edition, we'll be able to have 2 categories of undergraduates and overgraduates for that one. And then also in another 2 weeks, we are going to be announcing a call for a short story competition, but it is religious. It is religious, so you'll get to hear about it. And also, the Poetry Prize is going to return in 2022. Maybe not as Korea Nigeria Poetry Prize, I can't say, but it's definitely going to return. It's the Poetry Prize from the Arojah platform is going to resume in 2022. So it means that every year we are going to be having like 3 of such prizes running. And I am also going to be, since I will capitalize on those of you who are not willing to put your works into competition again. We'll begin to invest you into the into the judges, so that we can benefit from your, So I want to say a very big thank you to every one of you. I'm a theater person, and theater is a game of number. We value audience a lot. Maybe every other aspect of life. Of course, when you write book, you hope that about 100,000 or 1 million people or 100 million people will get to see it. So if we put this up and you are not here, it wouldn't have, we probably would have shut down long ago. So I want to appreciate you. I want to say a very big thank you. And just please watch out and pray along with us. There will be many more to come from Arojah Royal Theatre. If we say our desire is to identify and nurture and promote creativity, we really want to do it. Where I am in the Izoge's league, I retired from writing poetry very long ago. I saw him saying to Madu, "You want to leave me? Don't worry. If Madu leaves you, I am probably not going to leave you. So I am with you, even though I want you to get back into writing. But most importantly, like you said, when we write, let us also act. Let us walk the talk. Because a lot of people look up to us. Yes, we go eat, we go chop. And, a lot of people do commercial, even with plays and all of that. You see the commercial mindset behind, especially when you talk about prizes. the NLNG, for instance, people line up, but for as long as the work is good, I mean, let's put them out there. Let's begin to use our medium to promote a society that all of us would want to see, even as we go on. So I want to say a very big thank you to everyone, to Dr. Ayo, who is no longer here, our featured poets, Innocence, Oko, Iyanu, Madu, and Miriam. We thank you a lot. I mean, we'll keep in touch. Let's keep doing this. Thank you for coming around. We'll see some other time soon. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
Thank you, Amoba.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye, everyone. Sweden and Africa, stop looking for trouble.
People should enjoy some music.
Stop looking for trouble.
It's okay, go on.
Don't
retire.
Yeah, with the halo, why don't
Cross Chima, I salute you.
This collection of poetry will be about food so that you praise it. You ready to
yeah, nice meeting you.
Thank you for being so sweet, Paul. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Auntie Iko, Diana.
Auntie Iko, bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
August 20.